الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. You guys, first and foremost, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is our last radio session inshallah today. So this is going to be a bit more of a chilled out session, won't be so heavily focused on tafsir. Today inshallah will be a good opportunity to recollect some of our thoughts, our experiences during this month of Ramadan, how you've been able to benefit, how you've been able to change, what can we do post Ramadan, and hopefully get a bit of feedback from you guys. So if you guys want to inshallah give a bit of feedback from some of the shows that I've been doing, or any comments that you want to give, or any questions that you may have, I think I'll dedicate that session to that too. If you have any questions, you want to text into the studio on 07450 925084. If you want to text into the studio on 07450 925084, or if you go on my live Facebook page on Shaykh Abdul Hameed, you're more than welcome to inshallah directly on my Facebook stream live, which is right now. If you want to ask any questions, give any feedback, you're more than welcome to. Right, so let's get this show started. Now, Ramadan is coming to an end, but it's important that we don't pretend or act or behave like it has come to an end. Why I'm saying this is sometimes when you're racing, the beginning to get a good start is so important. That's given, that's there for sure. But if somebody's reaching the finish line and they can see the finish line, if you see the sprinters, for example, right at the end, they could be even beaten by milliseconds. And in desperation, they'll even stick out their chest just to meet the finish line. If they started celebrating even 10 steps before the finish line, they could jeopardize the first position to 6th to 7th when you're racing at World Championships. And this is the same thing to Ramadan. The finish line, we can see, is Eid. But it's important that we don't stop pushing ourselves until we reach the end of Ramadan, until we experience Eid. Because these are still momentous nights. Tonight is the 29th. So it could possibly still be Laylatul Qadr, the night of power. A lot of masjids are inshallah finishing the Quran. Tonight inshallah I'll be going to Masjid Taqwa. If you do get an opportunity, do pop down. Masjid Taqwa inshallah for men and women. They'll be finishing the Quran. So again, I'll be there tonight inshallah. And continue pushing yourself. Yeah, like, you know, in these moments of Ramadan, people may ask, how do I know if my Ramadan has been counted? How do I know if my Ramadan has been blessed? How do I know my Ramadan has been a success? One way of figuring that out, or one sign I could say would be that your Ramadan has been successful, is that you've been able to positively implement change during the month of Ramadan, that you're able to keep up with it post-Ramadan. If there's a change to how you are post-Ramadan to how you were pre-Ramadan, then you've smashed it and you've done a good job. And you know, sometimes like Ramadan is our training period. I would just compare the spiritual diet to your physical diet. Is, you know, this is the month of training. This is the month where you've been able to kind of create discipline, focus, consciousness of God. It's the same when you're in the gym, right? Your gymming time is your time when you can see how many calories you can burn, how much calorie deficit you can create. But what's more important than the gym is what you do outside the gym, meaning how many calories you intake, your lifestyle choices, what you drink, what you do, your addictive behaviors. Because it can just take two drinks, for example, full of sugar, that can just totally cancel out all the hard work that you've done trying to burn 400-500 calories in the gym. The same thing in Ramadan. This is a time where this is where we've been able to push ourselves on the treadmill of discipline, where we've been able to develop our consciousness. So we've been able to burn our sins, like burning those calories. And burning calories isn't easy, right? It's easy to eat a packet of crisps, but it'll probably take you 20 minutes to 25 minutes just to burn that off. And it's so easy to sin. It's so easy to get up to no good. But what's more important is that after this training period has finished, what we're able to do post-Ramadan, the positive routines, keeping up with our salah, praying to Allah, reading, catching to the Quran, and making sure that the Quran is part of our spiritual diet. Now, what I believe is, you know, in Surah Al-A'raf, Shaitan says when he's banished from paradise, he says, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ, that I will engulf human beings from the front, from the back, from the right, and from the left. I will I will attack them, like how like a white blood cell attacks like a bacteria. I'll engulf them in all directions. Now, if shaitan is attacking you in a multi-dimensional way, then you need a multifaceted defense. If you're being attacked from different angles, then you need to be able to defend yourself from different angles. I'm taking the example of boxing, right? You have your jab, you have your hook, you have your cross, you have your combos, you have your uppercut. Now, each punch will be relevant to the situation you find yourself in, unless you're like Lomachenko, who just got some crazy angles. But you're able to use the tools you have in your arsenal at your disposal when needed. Now, in order to fight this battle against shaitan and your nafs, you need to have a multifaceted defense and an approach, a perspective, where like your jab. I'll give you a boxing lesson now. Your jab is not normally a knockout punch unless you're Mike Tyson, right? But it's just there to get the person conscious, just to make them aware that that jab can set up with a cross, that jab can hook, can be set up with a hook or with an uppercut if you're closer. Right? It's that's how your dhikr is. That conscious. You know when you say Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, that's just making yourself conscious. And shaitan obviously doesn't want to be around you because shaitan will only be able to influence you when you are unconscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why in the Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, تَذَكَّرُوا فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ, that when shaitan makes people forget or makes them negligent or oblivious or unmindful or distracted, when they remember Allah, فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْصِرُونَ, all of a sudden they can see. Basara meaning you can see clearly. You have a vision. You have a spiritual perspective. Now, when shaitan is attacking, this is mentioned in Surah Nas, the footwork of shaitan is really interesting. So Allah says in the Quran, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ مِنْ شَرِّ الْوَسْوَاسِ الْخَنَّاسِ. In this surah, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection 3 times from one thing. In this surah, in Surah Falaq, you're seeking, in Surah Falaq we can say is more, according to like the Mufassirin say, has been more dedicated to focus on things that can distract you in this world. So when Allah says, for example, darkness of the night, as it engulfs those people, those who blow into the knots like witches, and from people, when somebody's envious, and they act out their envious kind of behavior, enraged with jealousy. Those things are generally to do with this world. But in Surah Nas is more focused towards the akhirah, what can jeopardize your safety in the hereafter. So we seek Allah, therefore we seek Allah's protection 3 times. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ مِنْ شَرِّ الْوَسْوَاسِ الْخَنَّاسِ, from the harm, shar, waswas al-khannas. Simple translation is from the consistent, perpetual whisperer, you can say. But what waswas and khannas actually means is waswasa. You know, it's onomatopoeia in Arabic. You know, you like the buzzing of a bee. In Arabic, that's the onomatopoeia. Now, why the word waswasa comes is because when people are whispering, it sounds like waswasa. That's why the word has been called that. Now, waswasa is when shaitan is trying to instruct you, influence you, and trying to get you up to no good. And then that's when you're distracted. Now in Arabic is that if the syllable is repeated, like wasa, if that syllable is repeated, it creates emphasis. Like for example, zalzala, which means a earthquake. Meaning it can be like a really impactful earthquake with high seismic waves that can cause so much havoc. So in Arabic is when the syllables are repeated, it creates an exaggerated meaning. It creates a plentiful. It's like a hyperbole or a superlative of something. Now in Arabic, when Allah uses the word waswasa, here it means that He's consistently trying to whisper you. We can say waswasa is shaitan's way of attacking people. Like when he's on the attack, when he's actually coming for you. Now khannas is different. When the word khannas actually, when Allah uses the word to describe the constellation in the heavens, in the stars, Allah says bil jawari al khunnas. Now the word, what this means is, the stars are still there, but they become visible during the night. But they're still present during the day. It's just we can't see them. So during the day, they recede into the background. It's like your phone. Your phone, when it's on loud, you can hear the ringing. But when you put it on silent or on vibration, it's still there, but it's not as audible. Now that's khannas means here in this context means when something begins to fade away in the background. Now these are the two states of shaitan, waswas and khannas. Waswas is when he's attacking you, when you are oblivious of Allah. But when you now are conscious of Allah and when you start thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he becomes khannas. He actually recedes into the background. He becomes discreet. He's still trying to influence people, but because you are mindful of Allah. Like darkness only exists in the absence of light. Shaitan can only influence you when you are absent from the awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what I was saying is that the whole idea of the jab I was giving initially is that is your consciousness of Allah. And I've said this previously, is dhikr is not only restricted to getting a tasbih and saying subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allah akbar. It's a conscious state of reality where you are tuned into Allah. It's a frequency that you tap into that makes you conscious and aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beyond your physical reality. So that's how when shaitan is attacking people. Now somebody may say, who leads people astray? Is it shaitan who's like our worst enemy? The Quran says, فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا, he is your enemy. But even worse than shaitan who can lead you astray or can harm you, is actually our own self. Our own self. Now it's easy to just blame shaitan and say, shaitan's affected me and shaitan made me do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us agency. Allah has given us autonomy. Allah has given us volition. We have the ability to perform our own actions, right? We have that agency, we have that free will, we have that qudra. So what harms people the most is when it's your nafs. Your nafs is your caprice. Some may say, like what Erickson was referring to, possibly could it be the nafs? It's your inner self. It's you on the inside. Like superficially you may look a particular way physically, but when on the inside of who you are, the kind of thoughts that you think, the kind of feelings that you harbor on the inside, that's your nafs. Now the Quran, for example, talks about the different types of nafs. I'll be brief about this, but the whole of humanity can be classified, it can be stratified under these three categories which are mentioned in the Quran. So you have the nafs ammara. This is mentioned in the 13th juz of the Quran, where Yusuf alayhi salam, when the woman is trying to seduce Yusuf alayhi salam. Imagine how crazy that was, man. I mean, read the story. I really want to tafsir Surah Yusuf, inshallah. One day I'll hopefully do a course on Surah Yusuf. I had a course on the weekend, on Sunday, in East London. Alhamdulillah, I did the tafsir Surah Fatiha for about 4.5 hours. It was packed out, had about 1,000 people attend. It was awesome. So I do these courses, inshallah. Hopefully try to do a bit more in Leicester. But I was saying about nafs ammara is Yusuf alayhi salam. When the woman is trying to seduce Yusuf alayhi salam, and she wants to get up to no good. Yusuf alayhi salam, he's conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Yusuf alayhi salam is saying, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي. And this is the nafs ammara is your nafs that consistently, perpetually instructs you towards sin. Nafs ammara is the worst type of nafs there is. It's a nafs that has no boundaries. You do what you want, whenever you want, however you want, with whoever you want. And you don't care, you have no moral values, you don't care about the laws of the country, and for sure you don't care about God's laws either. That's the worst type. And then from there, a slight promotion, you get the nafs al-lawwama. This is mentioned in Surah Qiyamah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath by nafs al-lawwama. Lawwama is it's very similar to the yin-yang. You're trying to do good, but you mess up, and then you messed up, and then you try to do good. I would say most believers, we can say, most believers who are conscious of Allah are generally on that state where you're trying to do good, but you mess up, then you mess up, and then you do good, and it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you listen to an amazing lecture, you pray your Isha, you're on it, and then it's time for Fajr, and you don't wake up. That's an example of Salawama. You're doing a dhikr of Allah, and then somebody cuts you off on the road, and you just stop. You lose your temper. That's nafs al-lawwama. Then the higher nafs, the nafs, the felicitous nafs, the nafs of felicity, the nafs of tranquility, the nafs of, best translation is this, the chilled out nafs. Nafs al-mutma'inna. Ya ayyatuha nafs al-mutma'inna. The nafs that is in the state of itminan, of just peace and contentment. This is the nafs that this person is totally in control of. Where everything you look, touch, move towards, hear, look at, just draws you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the highest level of the nafs. These are the nafs of the people who are salihin, those are conscious of Allah, the pious people, the siddiqeen, the truthful people, the anbiya alayhim as-salam, those who are on the level of ihsan. For those who understand what that means, to be so conscious of Allah. And we pray to Allah that if we were in the nafs amara, that we'll be able to, during this month, bump up to the lawama level. If you're at the lawama level, we're able to bump up hopefully to the mutma'inna level. And in the Quran, Allah even says in Surah Kahf, Allah says, shall I inform you who the worst akhsarina a'mala means? This is akhsarin, meaning this is like tafdeel, is the biggest loser, not the show on that show on TV that comes on The Biggest Loser, when all those morbidly obese people end up losing 400 pounds to like 100 pounds and then pull that weight back on again. Not that the biggest losers. Bil akhsarina a'mala here means akhsari, meaning the biggest losers in terms of actions on the day of judgment. الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعِهُمْ, those people whose good works have been lost, have been wasted. وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا, but they think what they are doing is something that is good. Allah said these are the worst people on the day of Qiyamah. I remember when you were studying Jalalain, my Ustad gave me a really interesting example. He says, so Allah saying the worst person on the day of Qiyamah is somebody who thinks that he's doing or she's doing something good, when in fact they are not, and their good deeds, they're not even classified as good deeds, and they'll be cancelled out, and you'll be lost, and you'll be empty on the day of judgment. That's what Allah says is the worst type of person. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives an example here, is akhsarina a'mal, like if you have two people who are employed by you, and these two people, say for example, you employ both of them, right? The boss is absent, but you got like a hidden camera somewhere where you can watch them, like a 4K ultrasound HD camera, which is like in front of me here right now. Right, and you got that planted somewhere, and these two workers can't see it, but you're watching them, like the whole big boss thing, secret undercover boss. And one guy is just slacking. He just doesn't even bother getting up. He just sits on his chair and he's just playing on his phone, watching Netflix, doing no work at all. And then you have another person who say for example, they have to stack shelves. He stacks a shelf and for one box in an hour, and then he sits down, and then he says, "Oh, let me do a bit of work," and then he gets up and does like a teeny bit of work, and then he sits down again, and he does that the whole day. Who will be the biggest loser from the two? Now, if the boss goes and tells them, and none of you will be paid because none of you done good enough work, who will be the biggest loser from the two? Not the person who did nothing. The biggest loser will be the one who done something and he doesn't even get anything for it. Why? Because he was half-hearted in his or her attempt at doing things. Now, what this means in the Islamic context is that sometimes you do things that have not been prescribed by the Sharia. You do things that are innovative by nature. In terms of, we're not talking innovative, I'm talking about actually Islamically classified as something that is not from the Quran or the Sunnah. Or you think that you're doing something, but you're doing it in an incorrect way, and you haven't bothered figuring out the correct way of doing it. Or that, for example, you've prayed your salah, but now you're going speaking ill of other people, and now your salah was a good thing, but now you're doing ghiba, and your good deeds for your salah gets transferred to somebody else's account, and the day of Qiyam you find nothing. That's akhsarin a'mala. That's the worst type, the biggest loser on the day of Qiyamah that Allah talks about in Surah Kahf. So this consciousness, this awareness, this istihdar, is something that is so important for us as Muslims, is that we don't get beguiled, we don't get deceived by the momentary good deeds that we do. Talbis al-Iblis is mentioned also, is that, shaitan sometimes comes to deceive people by telling people, your Ramadan has gone so well, you've smashed it, you've been fasting, just kick back and chill and do your thing and jam. You know what? No, Ramadan doesn't end. Your consciousness of Allah doesn't end during the month of Ramadan. In fact, this is just a training period. Before you go in, before you actually officially, when you're recruited, you go through an induction period, and then you're offered a permanent contract. This was the induction period for us. This is the training session for us. This is an opportunity where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a head start by training the shayateen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has helped us to create discipline. And I said this in my first show, is that the only reason why we're fasting in the month of Ramadan, God gets nothing out of us starving. We have to understand that. God gets nothing from us starving. The whole purpose of this month of Ramadan was that if we stay away from eating and drinking and being intimate with our partners for Allah's sake, which by default is halal usually, then we should be showing and exhibiting more discipline in our life when it comes to sin outside the month of Ramadan. That's why we are fasting. The purpose of Ramadan is different to the purpose of fasting. The purpose of fasting was to create discipline, and the purpose of Ramadan, what Allah says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, was to build a connection with the Quran. That's the only reason why we have the month of Ramadan, to build a link with the scripture. Now, post Ramadan, I would really encourage people to continue your fasting and to continue, inshallah, your building a relationship with the Quran. Let me discuss why you should continue fasting, and then I'll discuss why you should continue, inshallah, your Ramadan, your Quran. Number one is why you should continue fasting is obviously we know the sunnahs of them. So we have the 6 fasts of Shawwal, where the Messenger of Allah says that you get the reward of fasting for the whole year. So those 6 fasts are coming up. You can keep them up straight after Eid for 6 consecutive, or you can keep them. You can do 6 within the whole month, whatever suits you. You don't have to be done all together. So that's something which is encouraged people to do. Another thing that people are encouraged is the Monday and the Thursday fasting. But generally, something that I just been absolutely fascinating. Normally Ramadan is a bit of a struggle, especially when you acclimate and get used to the fasting. But this Ramadan has been so cool. Is just before Ramadan, I've been trying to hit the gym. I just went to the gym before I came to the radio and trying to shed and cut and lift weights and stuff. But I've been really reading in detail about intermittent fasting. And it's just, wallah, it's just so fascinating that the physiological benefits of fasting. And I was just so surprised. And you know, I've always been into training and martial arts and lifting weights, but I've never given attention for some strange reason. I don't know why, but I've never given attention to nutrition. I don't know why I've done that. It's just like I'm not thinking about it. I'm actually surprised. So for the last 2-3 months, I've just been binging on learning about nutrition, watching documentaries, reading books, listening to audiobooks, listening to lectures on YouTube. Watching blogs, contacting and emailing and groups on Facebook, and I've been fascinated by how much fasting actually benefits us. There's such a cool thing when it comes to fasting. In 2016, there was a Japanese physiologist who won the Nobel Peace Prize. If you get a chance, research this. The 2016 Nobel Peace Prize winner in physiologist, he says why he got the prize is because he's been, for more than 24 years, he's been researching the benefits of fasting, and what he was able to discover was this idea called autophagy, which again medics and physicists were able, medics and physicians were able to explain. But I've got this hay fever, man. I'm actually dying. I've got my tissues on, man. Don't try gardening whilst you're fasting. It's the worst thing you can do. I don't know why I tried doing that today. Oh. So this dude says, is if you fast, he says that, you know, the body has waste cells, right? Waste cells that have been damaged, that haven't been able to form properly. And what autophagy does is that when you fast for a prolonged period, you're talking about 18 hours plus, 20 hours plus, where your body now starts, so when your glycogen is like your storage of food that you have from your diet. So if I eat, for example, 2,000 calories, that gets stored, and I can access that food for my daily energy. Now, once you deplete the storage, your body starts breaking down fat tissue, the adipose tissue around your body, the fat tissue, into energy. And that's why we're talking about keto diets, and which again I'll talk about that later on, which has been revolutionary, which has really helped me. But what autophagy does is that actually it goes through your system and it recycles cells that have been damaged to create healthy cells. And that could also mean that if you have a particular illness or a disease, it can actually help destroy some of those cells. And if you read his paper, I was absolutely shocked and surprised. And then there was an interesting blog that was showing is that it's amazing how religions in general have always prescribed and instructed and encouraged their believers to fast. If you look in, for example, in Judaism, you have Yom Kippur, they fast for 25 hours in one go, even now. Lent, traditionally, Christians would fast during the 40 days of Lent. Like Allah says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Even the previous communities used to fast. Traditionally, Christians used to fast during the period of Lent, and the last week of Lent is called Holy Week. which leads up to Easter. But traditionally, Christians used to fast. The reason why it's called Pancake Day is that they would use up the ingredients. You know, on what's called Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Days, they would use up the flour, the butter, and milk. And when you mix these ingredients, and they were items of luxury back in those days, you get a pancake, because they'll now be having a restricted diet and eating normal food or basic food. If you're looking, for example, in the Hindu community, their fasting is not like ours, because they don't abstain from everything altogether, but they can have a restricted diet. For example, they're able to eat particular types of fruits, water, milk. But the idea that religions generally encourage people to fast. And there's a divine reality that there's a benefit for us fasting. And what the Messenger of Allah, when he says, Dr. Mosley, a British medic journalist, who made the idea, the 5-2 intermittent fasting pretty famous in the last few years, where he says you fast for, you eat for 5 days and you fast for 2 days. You need to be in a calorie deficit for 2 days. This is exactly what the Messenger of Allah told us to do when you fast for 2 days. The Messenger of Allah would be fasting 3 days during the Ayyam al-Bidh, during the moon, the 14th and 16th, and then the Messenger of God during the Mondays and the Thursday would be fasting. He was actually instructing people to fast. I think it's something that you should really include, especially when it comes to controlling your insulin levels. You know, if you want to be really healthy, the best thing you can do for your health is to have a diet of a type 2 diabetic. Seriously, that's the best advice I can give to people. If you actually want to be healthy, if you want to lose weight, first of all, obviously, you need to be in a calorie deficit. But if you genuinely want to be healthy, then you should adopt a diet of a type 2 diabetic. And read what that is about. When you just completely control your sugar levels, right? Even carbohydrates ends up getting broken down as glucose. And you can eat, that's the reason why we have, for example, even when you eat pasta, when you're eating bread, any of these carbs, when they actually get broken down, your body as fuel can use carbohydrates, which is broken down into as glucose, as energy, or it can use healthy fats as energy. And that's what the keto diet is, and I'll explain that shortly. But you have to be careful. Like, if the Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiba, eat from the produce from the earth that is, which is pure. And normally we translate that as food that's halal, been slaughtered in a particular way, income is halal. I don't know why we don't focus on nutrition. What we should be focusing on is food that is halal, food that is not food that is nutritionally healthy, food that when you eat actually satiates you, increases your satiety instead of making you hungry. You know what? You can go eat at like one of these processed chicken burgers, right? You have your burger, you have your processed chicken burger in there, and then that chicken has been pumped with water just to increase its weight, so it's worth more. Food, and you eat it, and you get an insulin spike because that carbohydrates is just broken down as sugar into your system. Even bread, pasta, wheat, all of the stuff, let alone the sugary stuff that we eat. And your body, then you get an insulin spike. Now, once you get that insulin spike, so you get a bit of that sugar rush that you may enjoy. But once the insulin comes crashing down, you feel hungry again. And you just think, I just ate a burger an hour ago. Why the heck am I hungry again? Because there's nothing nutritional in that food. You're not actually benefiting from the food that you're eating. It's so important. You know, it's an act of, I'm telling you this open, it's an act of ibadah if you actually go, when you go in shopping in these shops in Asda and Tesco, whatever, and you're reading the nutritional facts at the back, you're reading the nutritional information. Spend a bit of time, research online, do your grocery list before you shop, right? Don't just do never shop when you're hungry. That's the worst thing. I used to do that years ago. Oh my God, I could spend £150 straight on junk back in those days. But I used to train like an animal, so I used to burn it off. But when you don't train as much and then you end up putting on the pounds, it catches up with you. But you know, what's called the glycemic index. So if you look at all the different types of carbs, and you can see how much sugar of that can be converted as glucose in your system, it's being measured, right? So you have the glycemic index and the glycemic load based on your portion servings. So if you eat, for example, within moderation, fruits. If you're really addicted to sweet stuff and you want to really have sweet stuff, just stick to fruits. That's the best thing you can do. Why? It's because even the sugar has fructose in it, at least it has fiber, again, which will help with the satiety, which will help people to cope with being able to be more full and satiated, right? Now, if you for example, eating a good amount of fruits, making sure you're getting your veggies in. You know, I personally was not the biggest fan of vegetables throughout my whole life. And when I started reading about the benefits of the vitamins and the minerals that are needed, right? From the electrolytes that you can able to eat from the food, from the vegetables. It's just fascinating. And be creative, man. These days, you can just go on YouTube and make yourself an insane salad. Right? Salad actually tastes nice. And be careful with the salad, is because the salad can be healthy, but you know the dressing that you put on the salad is just loaded with sugar. You know what I want everyone to do? You know, even my kids are used to doing this now. Right? It's stuff like Nutella, I swear to God, that stuff is poisonous. Honestly, that stuff is genuine. Drinking Coke and all of these energy drinks and Red Bull, that stuff is toxic to your body. I've said this so many times and I'll say it one last time. 4 grams of sugar is equivalent to a teaspoon. A teaspoon of sugar is what you put in your tea, right? 4 grams of sugar is equivalent to a teaspoon. Look inside and see is when you look at sugar, when you look at 330 milliliters of Coke, which has 36 to 38 grams of sugar. That's like 7, 8, 9 teaspoons of sugar. You know, if you physically try ingesting, getting 9 loads of sugar, your body will not even be able to ingest it. You end up throwing up. But there's enough chemicals in there to actually allow your body to digest it. And the sugar high that you get, you know, I'm absolutely shocked and surprised when you go to some of these restaurants. If I want to start ranting, let me rant properly. Let me do this properly. Right. I am shocked and surprised when I go to some of these restaurants and you get little teeny weeny kids who are binging on Coke and and I'm talking about full on cans. And then the parents will just give it to them to drink. Wallah, this is shocking. I've seen negligent parents who even, you know, those, what are those called? Those little flask things that the children drink, that dummy little thing. They actually fill up those little flasks with Coke so the kid can drink it. And you see these little kids who are 4, 5, 6 years old with rotten black teeth. You know, that's a permanent stamp that you're the bad parent. And you should be straight up about it. You know, if I see a kid whose teeth are rotten and they're falling out, by the time they're 4 or 5 years old, that just shows how much of a bad parent you honestly are. When I say bad parent, you're failing your child. I would even say that's even sinful because you're being negligent towards the vital nutrients that your child needs. It's just shocking. Now, obviously, if your children want to drink that kind of stuff, then get 0 sugar diluted drinks, right? So if you want to get even stuff like Ribena, I would encourage people to drink. I honestly, because when you see, you know, you think, just Rubicon. If you all of these drinks, you know, you think that even your healthy orange juices. You know, I was reading some of these reports in California where a lot of these vineyards and all of these places where where they grow oranges, and there's been a huge downturn in the amount of revenue that these farmers have been able to turn over, because not many people are now buying orange juice, because finally the world has realized is that all the fructose that you actually extract from the orange is just nothing but sugar. Now, if you eat, like, you know, if I have a glass of orange juice, now obviously it can be healthy, you get your vitamins A, B, and C and stuff. But if that orange juice, a glass has you probably extracted from 3 oranges or 4 oranges. Now, for you to drink that and your insulin level just goes insane, you rather eat 3 oranges. I'm telling you, you probably won't even be able to even eat 4 oranges. Why? Because there's so much fiber there that it makes you full. So, me personally, this is my encouragement. Get double checked by your GPs and stuff. But I researched the stuff in an insane amount of detail. I would even, if you're gonna drink fruit juices, then do so within moderation. Don't go crazy. The best thing to do is to actually eat the fruit with the skin, because it's more fibrous and it will make you more satiated for a long period of time. But I was going back to my point, is that what you do want to eat, and let me talk about my keto diet. My mate's in the gym. Big up to the gym, unit 66, which is on Leicester Street, just on East Park Road. If anybody wants to come to the gym, this is a shout out to the gym. The gym is just absolutely awesome. Brother Khalid, who's invested a fair amount of money into the gym. It's just off East Park. What the heck is that road called? Leicester Road? Where Bargain Depot is, on the opposite Bargain Depot. That road is next to the factory. It's off East Park Road. It's the gym. It's got Unix 6. We've got the cage in there. We've got the mats in there. We've got the ring in there. Brother Arafat, who looked after the place. We have Brother Tan, who's a man. He trains kids. Hopefully we'll have something coming up for the summer. You know. So I've been talking about the keto diet, and all of my mates in the in the gym keep calling me keto now. Now the keto diet, what's insane. Again, research your diets. You know, me personally, I've gone on. You know, when I'm fighting, when I'm training, when I'm mixed martial arts, and when I got fights and stuff coming up, or I got kickboxing, I was back in the days. Is that I was so and when training, I'll train like a dog. I will train like crazy. I will spar 8 rounds, 9 rounds, 10 rounds. I'll lift weights. I'll jog, all of that. But when it came to my nutrition, I would eat like just a pig, man. I would eat anything that I could see. Donuts, biscuits, sugary stuff, Coke, all of that kind of stuff. And now when I was training a lot, I was still burning off. It wasn't the healthiest thing, but I was still burning off. When I stopped training as much, you end up putting on those pounds and you realize, damn, I put on weight. And I tried all the different types of diets. So my weight used to fluctuate. When I used to have a fight, I used to fight. I'm talking about like proper sanctioned fighting, not on the streets, competition fighting. I could drop 3 stones, which was really unhealthy to do, but I would drop 3 stones and I would get into fight weight, and then I would just balloon up again. And because I'm just end up binging on loads of crisps and stuff, Sensation, man, that stuff is fit now. The Sensation crisp, the tight, sweet chili flavor. God save us from that stuff, man. Oh, that's my weak spot. But anyway, I have to binge on that, and sometimes still do. And I've tried all the different types of diets, and I mean, I've you know, when you don't eat, I get vexed, and then you get your mood gets all over the place, and you get like, what the heck, when you can't function properly, and you get annoyed and frustrated, and you know, you try the Atkins diet. Me personally, I'm saying, whatever diet may work for you. I tried controlling the carbs, high protein, juicing, the green juice diet, the water fasting. I genuinely struggle. And then I just been researching about the keto diet. Now, the keto diet, what's so cool is that, again, get your GP's advice in all of this. And this is me sharing my experiences. But the keto diet here is that your body can actually run on sugar, carbs, and your body can actually run on fat. Now, when I say fat, now naturally we would think fat is really unhealthy, especially with the food pyramid from the Americans, that they've been actually from the 60s encouraging people to make sure that they cut out fat from the diet, is because there was what they thought at that time, based on the countries, and this was only from 7 countries were able to draw a relationship from the 24 countries that they polled, was they were trying to see that there was a link between heart disease and fat intake. And they just thought that if you reduce the amount of fat, then hopefully it should help with people's heart disease. But now, I'm talking about from the 2010 and onwards, where they're able to do an insane amount of research, and they realized is that full fat, healthy fat, like fat from avocados, fat from eggs, for example, is the most healthiest type of fat that you can eat. Now, what the keto diet is, and if you are struggling to diet and you're struggling to shift weight, or if you're just genuinely struggling with being healthy, and this has been worth dividends for me, this is the best diet I've been on. So it doesn't even feel like a diet, actually it's a lifestyle change. What you do, depending on how much weight you want to lose, research the keto diet. Go online, Google it, keto diet, and read and watch YouTube stuff. Is you have, right now I'm restricting my carb intake to max 20 grams a day. My protein intake is about 45, 50 to 60 grams, depending if I'm training or not. I'll up it if I am training. And majority of my food is from healthy, full fat. And what your body is able to do is, which is called the ketones, is that your body is being able to use stored fat in your body as fuel, as energy. And it actually begins to break down that stored fat into energy. So not only does that help you to lose weight, but you feel incredibly healthy. And there's some interesting studies, like type 2 diabetes is absolutely preventable. Type 1 is possibly more hereditary, where people end up, because of genes that have been passed on. But type 2 diabetes is absolutely preventable for majority of the people that have been struggling and suffering with it. Why? Is because it's mostly diet related. In this generation, according to World Health Organization, more people will die from food health related issues than people who will die from starvation. What that means, according to the WHO, more people will die from eating than people who will die from not eating. That's insane. That's never happened in the history of humanity, that what we are experiencing in this generation for the first time in human history, where more people will be dying from eating then how many people will die from starvation? Why? Is because of the food-related illnesses and diseases that are created from the unhealthy lifestyles that we create. Now, what like I said, type 2 is totally manageable if you are able to, for example, your body becomes insulin resistant. The fat is not being able to be stored into the cells, and so becomes insulin resistant. So what people end up doing is taking more insulin so that fat gets stored around your body. Now, people put on fat in different places, right? Some people can put it onto the arms, around the waist, bigger thighs, depending even on your gender, different parts of your body, and you just get it giving it bigger and bigger. And the worst thing, like I'm saying the second time I'm saying it now, the worst thing you can do is when you end up consuming so many calories from the drinks. If you go to Starbucks and you have one of those fancy latte, whatever, maca choco, weirdo things that people drink, and that stuff is loaded with 700, 800, 900 calories, and you're drinking that stuff. Well, you're drinking that 800-900 calories is like you having, if you put that in meat and vegetables, that's like having like 3 massive plates of food or 2 big plates of food. That's a decent meal. You probably only need 2 of those meals a day if you're trying to go. That's insane. Mufti Sahib's online. Mufti Sahib, hope you well, mashallah. Mufti, mashallah, Mufti is doing well. He's actually joining us. Absolute respect, Jazakallah, for joining us. Inspired by you. Hope you're well, inshallah. So in fact, Mufti's in decent shape, right? Mufti is pushing those weights and keeping in good shape. But I was just telling the people though, is that being careful of what you eat. Right, reading about the ingredients, reading about how much sugar there is. This is halal and tayyibah. This is eating from the food that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for us. If you can afford organic produce, if you can afford it, go for it. If you can afford it. If you can't afford it, then make sure that you cut back. Even I'm trying to say this to my kids, is when you go to some of these takeaways, even the food hygiene rating, check that first. I'm not going to mention any particular takeaway, but you don't even know the state that they're making their food in. The bacteria. How many times when you actually go to a takeaway and next day you got diarrhea because of the bacteria present in that food? You don't know how long that chicken has been out, how long that meat has been marinated, uncooked at room temperature, right? You don't know who's even washing their hands or where people's hands have been. I would be really mindful. I wasn't a person who used to enjoy. In fact, I don't cook much myself, but recently I've been on this cooking flex where I've learned how to make steak. My steak is insane. Asparagus, I've never tried asparagus in my life, and just a few months ago I've been eating asparagus and I'm just totally hooked on it. When you start experimenting, if you try making a healthy salad, tabbouleh salad that you can just research on YouTube and mix up those ingredients. I'm saying this even especially for the guys. Don't just expect your wife to go and do it. You go and do it. It's an act of ibadah to be at service to your family members at home. And you're researching this. If you're at home and you're researching about nutrition, it's an act of reward. You actually rewarded for it. Why? Is because you're thinking for the benefit of your family. Your young children are eating healthy food. Your partner is eating healthy food. You're eating healthy food. This is a direct impact on your ibadah. This has a direct impact physiologically, psychologically, in terms of how you feel. What they're now saying, according to some of the new research, is that there's a really good book. It's called Genius Foods. I think his name is Max Gallagher. I was just listening to his audiobook. I haven't finished it. It's called Genius Foods on Audible. Download it. It's an awesome read. You can watch some of his stuff online. Another one is Dr. Fung, which is called The Obesity Code. Really good. He's got on YouTube, he's got a 6-part lecture. It's called The Etiology of Obesity. He goes into the reasons as to why people become obese. He goes into insane detail to explain the reasons how obesity is absolutely preventable. It's just insane, some of the research. And for me, the only reason how I've been able to actually dedicate myself to that is through education. This self-discipline for me, I talk about it all the time, but I do genuinely struggle with it, right? When it comes to food that you just want to put in your mouth and you end up eating. But the only way to actually convince yourself that some particular types of foods are not good for you is by educating yourself and seeing the physiological effect that the food actually has on you once you consume it. How sometimes you feel lethargic, how your insulin levels spike up. And this whole idea of eating 6 meals a day back in the days. If you're an athlete, if you're an Olympic athlete, if you're a hardcore bodybuilder, for example, that's different, right? People have been consuming more. But even if you're eating and snacking throughout the day, so you have your breakfast, and then you snack, and then you have lunch, and then you snack, and then you have dinner, and then you snack, and then you snack before bed. That's like 6-7 meals before. Your insulin levels does not even able to rest. Your metabolism is all over the place. And it's literally on overdrive the whole time, right? So what you do is, if you research, is intermittent fasting is what's called the warrior diet. So the warrior diet is a bit more extreme. I think the most simplest way how people, especially post Ramadan, were able to continue with intermittent fasting is called the 16-8 diet, right? So you're fasting for 16 hours, and then you have a window of 8 hours to eat. In that window of 8 hours when you're eating, this can depend, right? You can skip breakfast. Breakfast, literally why it's called breakfast, is because you're breaking your fast. Why? Because you were sleeping all night and you weren't eating. That's why it's called breakfast. Me personally, I'm not a breakfast kind of person, so I can skip my breakfast. In between, if you want to have a coffee, if you want. Now, right now, because I'm trying to increase my fat intake, I normally have tea and I'll cut my sugar, but I put the double cream in my tea. Oh my God, that stuff tastes amazing. Seriously, you know that Elmley or whatever you want to get double cream from, Waitrose or whatever, put that in your tea, 4 tablespoons of it. Now, it's got probably about 0.5 grams of sugar per serving, but 30 minutes, which is absolutely nothing. And that not only makes your tea taste so much more better, but it won't spike your insulin level. So during a fasting period, you can have this stuff, you can drink as much as water as you want, and then you have a open window. Say, for example, if you want to start eating at 2 o'clock, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then even till 10 o'clock if you want to stretch it, but you close your eating cycle 6 o'clock at 7 o'clock. And you can have 2 meals in between there. So you can have your delayed lunch at 2 o'clock if you want, and then you can come home and have your dinner for about 6 o'clock, and then you don't eat, and then your fasting starts, right? And then you don't eat until the 2 o'clock the next day. And if you can keep it in about 15, 16, 17 hours, that's it. The warrior diet is even more insane. So the warrior diet is that your fasting period is 20 hours, and then your eating period is 4 hours. Your cycle for eating is 4 periods. It gives your body enough opportunity to digest that food. You're able to control the amount of calories that you're consuming. Your insulin levels begins to subside and becomes more controllable. Your metabolism is slowly restored because it was all over the place because of your snacking and spiking your insulin continuously. And then what you want to try eating is healthy stuff during that period, right? So you want to have good, healthy protein. You know, you can, I've been buying, in fact, today for iftar, in your supermarket, you know, the chicken, they have cooked chicken for £4, which is just awesome, right? Cooked chicken, £4. Get some of that, put a bit of hummus on that. You know what I mean? What I've substituted my rice for. So I'm trying my best to cut down on my carbs. I don't eat rice. I was eating bulgur wheat, but I've even cut down bulgur wheat now. And what I have for my substitute for my rice is cauliflower rice. This stuff is insane. Try it. If you got a food processor, stick your cauliflower in there, half a head of a cauliflower in there, and leave it on pulse. Don't totally shred it to smithereens. Pulse it a few times, and it actually comes in. It replicates like a rice grain. Eat that. When you're eating it, I swear to God, you won't even tell the difference between rice and that. And the cauliflower is so much more healthy for you, so much less calories, and you can eat as much as you want with it. So if you want to eat that with your chicken, go for it. But you be healthy. And if you are controlling your diet, so you're consuming food that is healthy for you, and then you intermittent fasting in between, you will shed not loads of pounds. Not only will you be shedding, losing weight is just a byproduct. How you will feel psychologically, how you will feel in your brain inside will just be awesome. Now, according to new studies, they're saying is that dementia is like type 3 diabetes. And in Genius Foods, if you read his book or if you listen to his Audible, he talks about how because there's a high level of insulin and carbohydrates, that actually affects the way your brain is functioning. And when people reach senility, parts of your brain, literally, you have what's called neuroplasticity, where your new neurons in your brain are created. So that the actual physical shape of your brain begins to change, right? Based on your thinking and you consuming new knowledge, right? You'll be able to grow your brain literally. But the opposite of that is dementia, is that because you're not eating healthy fats in your diet, this could be a contributing factor. So healthy fats, like this Ramadan, because I'm trying to cut weight, I've not been eating too many dates. Back in those days, I used to binge on dates for iftar. Like, we used to have like binging sessions on, like, going on 15, 16 dates just for the dates, meaning the kajur, not those dates, right? And it was insane. But for me personally, it's good in high iron. It's good for your blood sugar levels. If you're healthy, then continue. But this Ramadan, I've been doing my iftar on avocados, and avocados are just insane, man. Buy 4 avocados for about 160, unripened, leave them out for 3-4 days, and you're good to go. Put a bit of salt on that, and you are perfect. Eat that as healthy fat. You read about the avocado benefits. If you're eating this kind of stuff, it will change, and you'll genuinely, you have what people refer to as mind fog, where people talking about the cognitive process begins to slow down, where people become more forgetful, where people don't feel as sharp or as tuned on. It's related to your diet. Honestly, it's related. If you're continuously eating crap, and then you're most likely about to feel like crap too. Excuse my language. That's the truth of it. And then you feed your children that kind of stuff. And then you complain about children having ADHD. I'm a school teacher. I was a school teacher, and you have some of these kids. Man, I used to get vexed with some of these kids. I used to tell them at lunchtime, dude, read how much sugar there is, read how much carbs that you're drinking right now, and then you get all hyper and act all crazy, and then you can't concentrate and focus. What the heck have you been eating the whole time? You waking up in the morning and you're giving your children Nutella sandwiches. There's 53 grams of sugar in there. That's just insane. And now you're just spiking your child's sugar level. If you listen to some of these TED Talks, if you look at some of these neuroscientists who are able to show brain imaging, brain images of when somebody consumes sugar, the neurotransmitters that are released in your brain and the response that your brain has is very similar to a cocaine addict. Parts of your brain that actually light up on the for those who study how the brain functions, and for the neurologists, the same impact is when you consume sugar, and that's what becomes addictive. And the thing is that when you start withdrawing from this stuff from the first few days, your body will start shut down, your body will be screaming for that kind of stuff. But when you pass the 3-mark day, the 4-mark day, your body will just spark up alive, right? You'll start consuming the stored fat in your body, and you become alive. So, like I said, this month of Ramadan is an opportunity for us to fast, but continue this fasting post Ramadan. It'll change the way you feel. It'll change the way you're experiencing life. It'll even affect your spirituality. There was a person at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu who had a bit of a big gut, like a belly. And Umar radiallahu anhu in the marketplace actually not tapped it, but tapped it hard, on his belly. He said, "What's this?" And the guy responded, he goes, "The barakat, this is God's blessing." And Umar radiallahu anhu said, "No, this is azab of Allah." Why? Because it will make you lazy in your worship. It will make you procrastinate. It will affect the way your body functions. And it will make you a lazy person. This is not God's blessing. This is God's curse upon you. This is what Umar radiallahu anhu says to that person. If you look at Qasr al-Shahwatain of Imam Ghazali in his Ihya Ulumuddin, he talks about controlling your food and controlling your sexual desires. But on that topic of food, he talks about in detail. Some of the ulama, and I'm saying this as somebody who's getting back into shape, because I've realized through a hard way of life that I was in incredible shape, but I ended up kind of binging on food I wasn't supposed to be eating. And when you start reading about the nutritional benefits and facts, you want to come back to where you were. And I'm on that journey currently, and I'm enjoying it, absolutely. But some ulama of the past, that if you read some of their books, they would actually refrain from seeking knowledge from a teacher who was out of shape and obese. Why? Because how on earth will he help us create discipline with Allah when he doesn't have discipline when it comes to his own food? And now, it's so sad that the whole stereotypical Maulvi mindset that we have now is that we just expect every Maulvi to be out of shape. And God save us, it seems to be the case, right? Obviously, how much food some of the places when I'm touring, you end up going to the best restaurants, and sometimes people invite you to eat, and you just end up eating, man, and you eat food that you never tasted before. You're like, wow, this stuff is amazing. But you end up putting on the pounds. And now, everything is in moderation. Like I said, everything in moderation. If you're in good shape, if you're healthy, if you don't need to cut too much, you're having takeaway once a week, you're controlling your stuff, you're cutting out the drinks, or you have one drink. When I'm talking about, then it's understandable, it's within reason. but it has to be an exception and not the norm. And like I said, this is from the deen, this is from our tradition, this is from Islam. So become more mindful over what you eat, become more careful, become more conscious, look after your body. You can't just say to Allah, oh Allah, give me a long life and let me worship you. You have to preserve your own health. You know, one of the objectives of Sharia, when you read the maqasid of Sharia, when the objectives of Sharia is number one, objective of Islam is to preserve life. The number one objective is to preserve life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ, don't kill yourself. That's why suicide is haram. And the ulama also say that anything that leads you towards your death because of your reckless behavior, including the food that you consume, by default also becomes impermissible. So eating food is fine. Binging on food is not fine. Why? Because now you're going beyond what's needed. So like I said, the Ramadan has really given me an opportunity to think about how much you don't need to eat. Honestly, I'm genuinely shocked and surprised by that. I hope, I'm giving the large one on the radio right now. I hope inshallah even post Ramadan I'm able to continue this myself. I started this before Ramadan and I want to inshallah continue this post Ramadan. And go work out, go to the gym. Again, studies have shown, and my background is in psychology, studies have shown is that the gym has the same impact on people with mild depression as antidepressants. Because the neurotransmitters in your brain that are released, your happy hormones, serotonin, dopamine, go sky high when you're actually physically exerting yourself in some form of exercise. Now for some people who like going, there's Pure Gym here, there's 24-hour gyms. I personally work out Pure Gym. Go Pure Gym. If you're a couple and you want to work out, go work out together. I really genuinely encourage you. If you want to do the single gym things, there's SNS around the corner from here. There's if you don't want to work out, if you're not a gym kind of person, buy your stuff at home. For me personally, it doesn't really work when I work out at home. I struggle. Go to the park, jog. You know what's really good? The insanity workout. When I had I think I had 4 years ago. When I ended up able to shed loads, if you can't make it to the gym or you don't want to go to the gym, the insanity workout, stick onto your TV or on your iPad and do the insanity cardio workout at home. It's just insane. It really helps you. This especially affects women a lot. Alhamdulillah, the rate of Muslim children being born in our community is fascinating and amazing. Alhamdulillah, the Messenger of Allah has increased your ummah. All that is good. But what we don't realize is sometimes it's really hard for the women folk to end up controlling their weight. And postnatal depression is a reality. I did a talk 2 weeks ago when I spoke about mental health 3-part series. If you haven't watched it, go onto my Facebook page, Shaykh Abdul Hameed, go check it out and listen to it. But postnatal depression is a reality. And obviously a woman, any human being is conscious of the way they look. It's not about being vain or being ostentatious or being full of yourself. You should look after yourself. You should look good. And this whole idea of you should look scruffy and I look scruffy because I came from the gym. But this whole idea of your food, your clothing is all over the place, your hair is all over the place, your beard is disheveled. You wear the same abaya like all the time without washing it. Your hijab is all there. This is not how the Messenger of Allah says. Inna Allah jameel wa yuhibbul jamal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beautiful and He likes beauty. Allah likes Allah likes to see the blessings on His slaves, the fact that we look after ourselves properly, right? It's from the deen. So to look after yourself, the Messenger of Allah would comb his hair. The Messenger of Allah had special clothing that he would wear for Eid. He would have special clothing when he would receive a delegation, when he'd be dispatching an army, when you used to receive ambassadors from other communities, when you used to have important meetings with the chieftains. The Messenger of Allah would actually dress up and look the part according to whatever that was culturally at that time. And the Messenger of Allah is combing his hair, and Aisha radiallahu anha said, "Oh Messenger of Allah, you're combing your hair." Obviously, are you going to go to are you going to go visit another one of your spouses, or are you trying to look good? And the Messenger of Allah said, "Yes, I've been sent to people and I need to be presentful. I need to look in a particular way. You should take pride in your appearance." Now what you shouldn't do, and there's another extreme, is that you don't become so insecure the way you look. Don't do that, honestly. I know it's hard. And it's not only how it impacts and affects girls, it affects boys too. Don't become insecure the way you look. Who cares how the heck you look? God's created you. Allah is the one who's fashioned you, and Allah is the one who's created you the way you look. Now, you can enhance your beauty in terms of, your haircut, your styling, your clothing, that's fine. But I don't think so. Women folk should be so pressured that, you know, I won't leave the house if I don't have a particular type of makeup. And then you end up putting on, even the idea of foundation, right? So you put on foundation. You know, your foundation should be your self-confidence. Your foundation is an inner reality. Your foundation is your consciousness. Your foundation is your self-esteem. That it's detached from your superficiality. Your foundation is how you feel on the inside as opposed to how you look on the outside. Now, you should be looking okay on the outside. But just because you don't look the way you expect to look, and then you become so self-conscious that it impacts the way you function, that's a self-esteem issue, man. That's a self-esteem issue. And I know we live in a hypersexualized society where we are continuously pressured to look in a particular way because all the images are airbrushed and everyone just looks like a model all the time. But not everybody, not even these celebrities look like that. Honestly, all of these pictures of Kardashian and all of these pictures of all these celebrities and singers and well, you see these people without makeup, you'd be surprised and shocked. And they get makeup stylists and artists to look in a particular way, and they have to have so much Botox and they have fillers and implants in order to look in a particular way. And why should you spend your whole life feeling undervalued, low self-esteem, not good enough because you just feel so insecure? Be proud of how you look, man. Alhamdulillah, I look good. And if you want to, you know, go to the gym, tone up, you know, feel fit, look good, dress the part, that's within reason. But don't focus too much just based on don't only base everything on your superficiality. So like I said, is that if you do get an opportunity, especially for for husbands and wives, right? Most of the guys end up just playing football with their mates, which is fine, which is cool. You know, spend once a week, twice a week, take your partner, go hire a badminton hall, which probably costs about £5-6. Go play badminton. Recently I've been playing squash. If you don't, go play squash. If you're not good at sport, go learn on YouTube and practice it. Tennis courts, Victoria Park, those floodlights are on till late. I love playing tennis. Go play tennis. If you don't want to, if you're really out of shape, just go and walk around Victoria Park, you and your partner. Walk around Victoria Park. Get a step counter. Get one of those Fitbits on your phone. You can count your steps. 10,000 steps a day, minimum, both of you together. Right? At night time, in the evening time, just do your thing. You'll be, honest to Allah, you'll be surprised and shocked how amazing it feels. It really helped you. For those who are a bit more adventurous, I'm a bit more crazy. I like roller skating, and my kids also inline skate. You can go to the ice skating if you really enjoy that. Skiing, they have some of these indoor centers available. Like I said, football, my passion is martial arts. I love boxing, kickboxing, mixed martial arts, cage fighting, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. That stuff is just bread and butter. I love doing that stuff. You end up burning so much calories, you just feel awesome, and you're eating healthy. So in order to spiritually, you know, jailbreak yourself, you want to jailbreak yourself, you want to be the 2.0 version of yourself, is that physically you're in shape because you're hitting the gym and you're working out and you're eating well. Psychologically, you're conscious of your thoughts, and if you have any mental health issues, you go and need support, you seek psychological intervention, you're careful of your thoughts, you're mindful of the way you feel, of your emotions. Emotions, language, thoughts are the language of the brain, and emotion is the language of the body. Your body, psychologically, can't even tell the difference between something that's happened in the past and it's hurting you, and you rethinking it right now and it hurting you again. Your brain can't tell the difference between that physiologically in your impact on your body. Stress directly impacts your immune system. Illnesses can be directly created because of your thoughts. On my Facebook page, I think yesterday, the day before, I posted on, I really encourage people to watch that interview. It's a 30-minute interview. It's just absolutely awesome. And it talks about the power of thinking and how that actually impacts your immune system. Right? And then spiritually, your spiritual intelligence, your physical, you have your mental, and then your spiritual intelligence is what ties everything in together. So you're praying your salah, you're learning about tafsir, you're focusing on hadith, you're memorizing a bit of scripture, you're attending study cycles, you're part of you go to the masajid, and you will be just spiritually high. High, when I'm saying high, I'm talking about getting high on cannabis and Buddha. I'm talking about spiritually high. I'm talking about you'll be kicking on all cylinders. You'll be firing, you'll be feeling different. You'll have this new passion about you. You'll be on next level. You're reading you're thinking, you're processing information. Your brain is literally growing with neuroplasticity. You're in study circles, you're working out, you're eating right, you're fueling yourself properly. Man, I tell you, you'll feel awesome. You'll feel awesome. So, like I said, this month of Ramadan has been a month of training. This month has been an opportunity for us to kind of jailbreak ourselves. So, I would encourage people, inshallah, absolutely. Mala Fayaz is listening. What's up, Mala Fayaz? He's my boy. Alhamdulillah, we've been doing some awesome work. 48 seconds. He's my sidekick. Big up to you. What I'm saying is that, inshallah, I know I'm supposed to create a study cycle in the month of Ramadan. I got super busy, had some family situation, so I couldn't create a study cycle. I am creating a study cycle that's open to both men and women. I want a bunch of like 14, 15 people who are going to come to my house, minimum charge, and I've created my own syllabus where I'll be personally teaching you. If you want to get more details about that, go on my Facebook page. It's called Shaykh Abdul Hameed. Shaykh Abdul Hameed for those people listening on the radio. Like my page. If you have any Islamic questions, you want to reach out, you want to stay in contact, you have any questions, you have open to both men and women, children of all ages. Stay in contact. You guys stay blessed. Thank you so much. Hope you have a blessed Ramadan. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.